What's up, everyone? This is Bacon, and today we are looking at another wish list video for September. This one looks a little different than August, so it's not, totally brand new, obviously, but there are some changes to it that I think are somewhat important. So let's go ahead and jump into it. As a general rule, at the end, I'm going to give an extra bonus person for every wish list because once you kind of get all the people on your wish list maxed out, it's nice to know where to go next. So we'll talk about that at the end, but for now, this is the wish list. With light bears, we got Gwyneth, Scarlet, Rowan, Rosaline, and Sanja. I removed, what is her name? Belinda. I removed Belinda because Belinda and Scarlet do a lot of the same thing and pretty much the same thing, but Scarlet is just a little bit better. And so I think if you are starting brand new and you don't have either of those units built out, Scarlet is probably the one you're going to want to build out. Now, if you've built out Belinda before Scarlet came in, that's fine. You can use Belinda in place of Scarlet in a lot of different areas, but I think we're just seeing Scarlet is a little bit better. Gwyneth, I think, is just better than both of them overall, but those two are the next best ones. Rowan and Rosalina, those are just some good support heroes. I think both are heroes that'll be very valuable long-term for a very long time in companions. And then Sanja is a great hero early and mid-game and does have some value in the later game, but she's definitely strongest in those areas. Moving to Maulers, I'm going to skip her for now. We have Crassio, we have Salaki, Chicken Man, and then Screg. And then I forgot her name. What is her name? Sophia. So Sophia, I think, is I put her in place of Kryn because I think Kryn was someone who just kind of filled the spot just because there's not really anyone that's much better. But I think Sophia actually is looking pretty good. We don't have a full kind of like ranking of where she stands in the tier list yet, but I think she is someone who is going to be a pretty good damage dealer for the Mauler faction. So I like putting her here. I think she's a good investment to start slowly kind of building her out over time. Now, for the rest of these heroes, they're pretty much the same as what they've been for a while for the Maulers. Maulers are pretty weak overall, except for Awakened Brutus. But Crassio is your all-star. He's probably the best Mauler besides Awakened Brutus. And then you have Chicken Man, Screg, and Salaki, who are pretty middle of the pack heroes, but definitely ones you want to get for your Mauler Tower and a few other situations. Now, going to the best faction Wilders, we got the same five. That's kind of been the case for a long time now. Trisha, Navanti, Mishka, Laika, and not Taylene. I should know this. Tassie. These are kind of the ones that are the best ones. And then obviously you get Awakened Solace, but not through the wish list. And so these are the ones that I think are definitely worth going for. Trisha's probably arguably the best hero in the game. Laika and Mishka, right up there in the top 10. Navanti, really solid healer, probably one of the best healers in the game. And then you have Tassie, who is a very hit or miss hero, but in the areas where she's good at, she can be really valuable. And then the Graveborn heroes looks a little different. We have Odin in here. Odin is looking pretty good. I think he's probably going to be the best damage dealer besides Mira in the Graveborn faction. So I have Mira. Mira's the GOAT of Graveborns as of right now. Then you got Damon, who is okay for faction towers, a few other areas. Silas is probably one of the best healers, supports heroes in Graveborn, if not the best, and one of the best in the game, honestly. And then I had talked about Odin, and then Shamira, another damage dealer. If you want to swap her out for someone else because you have Odin built out, I think that would be a reasonable thing to do. You already have Mira and Odin. Having Shamira might be a little too much damage. You might need a little bit more tankiness in your Graveborn team for towers. So I would say Shamira is definitely a flexible one. But Odin is definitely looking good. I think Odin will be a solid hero. He was great in Classic, so I think it makes sense that he's going to be great in Companions, but because he's a newer hero, it just takes time for people to build them out over time, since you can't really go for these heroes specifically outside of the Destiny summon slot. So going through these again, if you have all these heroes already max built out, and you're looking to build out some of these heroes a little bit more, or build out another hero in each faction. Light bearers. Let's see. Let's look through here and see what some good options might be. Thane is a very one-trick pony. I don't think I would really recommend Thane. He's really good with kind of single target bosses, but besides that, not very good overall. Walker is actually looking pretty decent in Dream Realm, even at just 1 or 2 copies, and you don't have to really build him out. He's someone I'm personally building out because I think there's a lot of potential with him. I think his DPS can be pretty high, so I'm curious to test him out a little bit more once I get him built out. But if you want a safe bet, Rain here is someone who is a buffer. I think she's really solid. I think she will continue to be valuable in future content overall. And I think she's just a light bearer that is a little different than what we have in this lineup and offers some versatility with kind of single target damage, buffing, and stuff like that. Moving on to Maulers, there's a few that you definitely want 1 or 2 copies of, but you don't necessarily need to build them out. Warwick is one of them right here. He's a hero that is, you don't really need to build him out, but you can. He can be really good in Dream Realms and probably not Faction Tower campaign, but a lot of those kind of bossing type things, guild boss, stuff like that. But he's really good in those areas. Other areas, not so much, but in those areas, he's pretty solid. Brutus, just normal Brutus, you just really need 1 or 2 copies of him to give you some sustainability. I haven't built out just because. Definitely don't need to do that. And then Anastasia, whatever her name is. Anasta, yeah. She, by default, her and Kryn might be ones you might want to throw in there. Neither of them are super good, aren't going to be game-changing. But if you need someone to throw in, I would say one of those two is also solid. Now, Wilders, Oku is just the natural next one. Oku is pretty good in Faction Towers and across the board, very average. He's not going to be someone you'd probably use very often, but he is applicable in a few different areas of the game. You might get stuck on a wave in Faction Towers, and you might see that other people have found success putting Oku in, and that's totally fine. Oku is someone that I think has a few spots where he shines in, but compared to these 5 and Awakened Solace, you probably won't get a lot of use out of him. Besides that, Wilders are a weird faction where you have like top tier heroes and then some pretty bad ones at the bottom. There's not a lot of middle ones. Oku, Raccoon, and that's probably honestly it. Maybe Respin, but that's just if you have a lot of extra summons to do. Now, as far as Graveborn goes, there's actually some solid ones. Obviously, you should always have at least 1 Nara, 1 copy just for her pull ability. But Hodgkin can be pretty good. He is a tanky guy. If you're needing some tankiness, you can definitely use him for Graveborn for tankiness. He also has some debuffing that is really nice to have in your lineup. I think Gretzel is also one. Those are the 2 that you really want to decide between. The nice thing about Gretzel is he's a little more versatile in a few other areas, but he does require a lot more investment than Hodgkin. Hodgkin you can get some value out of with no signature item investment and just get him to 5, whereas Gretzel you're going to need to invest in the signature item a good amount. So that's the 2 that I think I would consider doing with Graveborns. And maybe if you're free to play, lean towards Hodgkin. If you are willing to spend some money, maybe Gretzel's someone you might want to consider. But besides that, there's a few others. Isabella has some spots she's decent at. Desira, Tresnor, but those ones I don't think are necessarily required for any content. There's always better options than them. But that is the September wish list, y'all. Thank you for watching. I'm working on the September. I'm having a tier list. I'm like big brain farts today. September tier list. I'm trying to mix up a little bit, make it a little more exciting because I feel like every month they're pretty much the same. But I also know people like seeing how people move up and down and comparing it from last month. So I'll probably keep it relatively similar to last month with a few tweaks in it. But look out for that in the next week or so. And as always, hope you have a great weekend and have a great rest of your day. Peace.